Lesson 96, difference of two squares theorem. So first of all, you guys, there are two ways to solve these problems. One of the ways right here, actually anyone know one of the ways to solve x squared equals 25, Drew? Okay, subtract 25. That is one way. What's the other way? And I know where you're going with that. Yeah, Monica. Nope. I mean, you could, but that's kind of the same thing. Setting it equal to 0. There is another way. Yeah. Yeah. Square root both. So this is called the algebraic way, where we just take the square root, right? Now, is x equal to just 5? If you take the square root here. Just 5. That's the only answer. What's the other one? Yeah. So remember that negative 5 squared in parentheses, which is what it would be if you substituted it in, okay, is also positive 25, right? So whenever you do it the square root way, it's plus and minus 5, all right? But the way that we're going to do it today is with the difference of two squares theorem, which is the way that Drew was talking about. So let's try it. So I've got x squared equals 25. So we're going to solve it as if it's a quadratic, which it is. We're going to set it equal to 0 first. So we're going to subtract 25 from both sides. So we get x squared minus 25 equals 0. So now it is a difference of squares, which you guys have seen a whole bunch of. And this factors x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay. And then you set your solutions equal to 0 and solve, which means you get negative 5 for the first one and positive 5 for the second one. Okay, so there's your theorem, which it talks about right there. If p and q are real numbers, and if p squared equals q squared, then p equals q or p equals negative q. All right, so that's what we just did. Okay, now if it looks like this, okay, all you have is the square root of 16. There's no variable, okay, then your only answer is 4. Okay, because there's no x. So if it says, what's the square root of 16? We're just going to put 4. If it says x squared equals 16, we're going to get plus and minus 4. Okay, so that's the difference of a variable or no variable. How about this guy? What's the square root of 16? But there's a negative in front, so our answer here is negative 4. Okay, 16 does not equal plus and minus 4. Good. So that's what we just talked about, right? The square root of 16 does not equal plus and minus 4. Only if you have this are you going to get plus and minus 4. So if you're solving for a variable, then remember plus and minus, which is what that one is. So there we go. All right, so let's solve each equation. So I'm going to set it equal to 0 first, which means I'm going to move it to the other side so it becomes negative 169. So we're going to factor it. Anyone know what the square root of 169 is, Corey? Very good. Plus 13 and minus 13. So our solutions are negative 13 and positive 13. All right, q squared equals 23. Okay, is there a square root of 23? So we cannot actually factor this one. So we're going to do this one the algebraic way, all right? So we're going to take the square root of both sides to solve it. So q equals plus and minus the square root of 23. Could we have solved this first one the same way? With the square root? Yes. And you would get the exact same thing, plus and minus 13. Okay? All right. Is there a perfect square number for 14? Or is 14 a perfect square number? No. So let's go ahead and do the square root way. So we get w equals plus and minus the square root of 14. Okay? Biggest error, you guys, is people forgetting plus and minus. All right, so always remember positive and negative when you're solving algebraically. That was a really